Hello and welcome. My name is Randy Blevins. I'm the founder and CEO of Think Tank Marketing. I've had the distinct privilege to be working with author and friend Rita Hurst over these past few months. And today we are so happy to celebrate the launch of her new book, Show Up Positive. It's also National Bourbon Day, so we're going to have a little toast here. I don't know where you are, but it's 3 o'clock here, so I think that's late enough. So we'll be having that. So if you have something to cheers with, we'll be doing that at the end of this broadcast. A few housekeeping things before we bring Rita on and chat about this wonderful new book. We are kind of using our own setup, so we are sometimes at the mercy of technology. So the camera could go out or the internet. If that happens, we will post instructions about what we'll be doing as soon as we can get back up and running. We will do that. I also want to give a special thanks to Maureen Raymond of Raymond Landscapes for this lovely arrangement. Again, I don't know where you are, but it is very, very hot here and feels very summery. So we're in the cool office basement and enjoying the greenery around us. Rita very much wants to thank you for joining us. And in order to do that, we need to be able to get a hold of you. So if you're comfortable, drop your email into the comments. If you're not comfortable doing that, just say hello, what your name is and where you're from in the comments so we can get a hold of you later. And she'll talk about the gifts and maybe some giveaways that we'll be doing later on in the program. It's time to introduce our very special guest, Rita Hurst. She began her career as an internal organizational development and human resources consultant for Fortune 200 companies. In 2005, she left corporate life and established her own independent consulting and coaching practice. I very much enjoyed working with her at the very beginning of my business process, and she was very helpful in getting me kind of past those obstacles that sometimes us business owners put in front of us. So we're learning to get out of my own way. Through her groundbreaking training and lessons, she reveals how to intentionally cultivate positive thoughts and behaviors instead of automatically reacting from the trappings of a depleting cycle of frustration and discontent. Her first book ever, Show Up Positive, has now launched. So please let's welcome Miss Rita Hurst.
Yay! Thank you, Randy. Thank you for
you?
joining me and being my MC
Thank
today.
you for inviting me.
It's kind of lonely when it's just me talking at the camera.
I know. I'm used to. I've gotten better at being in front of the camera. We talked about that, but I'm used to. I can speak in front of an audience all day long, but when you don't have that energy, it's a little hard to kind of keep that up for yourself. But it seems to be very easy with you. So we've done this once before for our East Coast friends at lunch. So now we're doing it again for you late afternooners who are here in town, and then hopefully you're having your lunch on the West Coast.
Yeah, hopefully all my old Gap Inc. friends from San Francisco, I hope you're catching this. And if you're catching it in a replay, make sure you comment and say #replay so I know you were here. And
yes, and we want to hear from you. We want to know that you're here. So please just say hello in the comments if you can. So the book, it's here. How does it feel?
Oh my gosh, this is the most joyous day. And not because I've said all my life I wanted to be an author, but just more because I had this moment of calling inside of myself about writing this book after the work I did in 2020, early 2021 with some clients trying to navigate the challenges of the pandemic and being essential workers. And it's out there. Now I get to hear feedback from all of you that are purchasing the book. And thank you, because last night, just before midnight, Show Up Positive hit number 12 on the bestseller list for Amazon, which is so exciting. I mean, I would love to have that #1 tag, but to break through the top 20
as a first-time
author is huge, because we've been on this journey learning together, and we talked about at lunch today. There's so much that we don't know, and
much that we assume.
Yeah, and the field is not level here. Like the way I am treated and the opportunities I'm given as a first timer, as a newbie, I got to work twice as hard. But with your help, we've been doing it. And with your help, we've been doing this because you guys believe in me, and you're amazing. Thank you so much.
And speaking of which, the book is available today. So you can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes & Noble, and you can go locally to Carmichael's bookstore and order it right now. And that will help continue that momentum and hopefully reach that bestseller mark.
Yeah, and I want to hear from you. As soon as you get your book and you get to reading, please start conversing with me. And I hope that you're going to love this book as much as I do. And you're going to be inviting everybody you know who works for a living to add this book to their toolkit.
Right.
Because that's what I wrote. I wrote it to be a book that you go back to again and again and again.
And it's that roadmap that we were talking about at lunch too. So give people a little bit of background. You started to. This idea came out of you working with essential workers during the pandemic. So what was it about that work that made you say, I think I have something that I want to share with the world?
Well, this has been such a new experience for our generation, right? Now, older generations have had other kinds of hardships that they faced, but I'm a Gen Xer, and we've kind of been living fat, dumb, and happy for a lot of years. And so it was a privilege to be invited in to help essential business owners who had built these incredible businesses that were well sought out places to work. At one company, somebody said, it took me 3 years to get a job here. And I was contacting them all the time. I mean, these are the kinds of local businesses that were inviting me in to work with them, because these owners understood that they had this very special, high performance, well-known organization that not only where people wanted to work, but where their customers wanted to shop.
Sure.
And it was slipping away. And they had gotten into this pattern that started with people commiserating about the challenges, that became emotional exhaustion and turned into complaining and policing and scorekeeping. And let me tell you something, when you start getting scorekeeping in your business, that's the beginning of the end. And scorekeeping is, I've done this task 3 times and Randy's not even done it once today. And why am I being asked to do it again? Because it's Randy's turn to do it.
And I think we've all experienced that, especially.
Right. And so, it wasn't that people woke up and became bad people. And that's one of the most important things that I do in the book. And part of the reason I wrote it is to share the psychology, because that's my background, is psychology. And there's so much of our biological conditioning that helps us understand what happened during that time and why people sort of kind of lost their minds at work and became such difficult coworkers. And it's not that people became bad people. We're still all the amazing, wonderful people, but we did develop some bad habits. And unfortunately, we all know that bad habits are very hard to break.
Right.
And so the book, I wanted to give people a roadmap that said, you do not have to just be in this reactive mode that keeps you stuck in this perpetual cycle that is depleting and sucking the life out of you. There is an alternative, and the alternative starts with your choice and intention to become the coworker you wish you had around you. You're doing this for anybody but yourself. This is going to be one of the most selfish things. And when I first told you that, you thought that was kind of a weird thing.
Right.
But it is. It's one of those really selfish things that you do for yourself, that you say, I'm going to start changing how I show up every day because it's going to help me be a happier person. But you know what? The people around you are going to be attracted to that.
And that also makes it not selfish.
Well,
because you're doing it for the betterment of yourself. I mean, I think that's like called self-care.
Oh, it is called self-care. That's true.
I don't feel like that is necessarily selfish, but one of the things that also struck me is that, one person has the power to derail a culture.
Yes.
So therefore it makes sense that one person has the power to make it better, if only for yourself. But once you start doing that and practicing the things that we find out in this book, I think other people are be drawn to that.
Right. And one of the silliest things we do is when I say, go fix Randy. Randy's the problem. When you get Randy where he needs to be, then come see me. I'll fix my behavior. I just gave Randy complete control over my behavior. Like, why would you ever do that? Do you realize? Most people don't even realize.
Right.
And when I started talking with workers and pointing that out, people were like, no, Randy's not controlling me. Oh, well, you're allowing it.
Yeah.
And so we have all this agency, all this capacity within ourselves that we need to bring to bear. And this book is about your ability to be the start of a movement that will change not only your happiness at work, but it will change the culture of your workplace. And it will get you back to that place eventually where you feel like that fun, loving, high performance team that you miss so much right now.
And you give a lot of examples in your book about this real life work. And what I love about the book, it really is for all types of readers and all types of people that process information in a different way, which we'll get into. But I know in the book, you kind of follow the story of one company and one CEO, which is amazing. So we want to bring on one of those CEO or one of those companies that you worked with right now, and that is Premier Surgery Center. And I'm not sure who all we have, but I think we have Alex, Danny, and Tina right now. Yes. So let's bring them on. And Tiffany. Tiffany Hey, Tiffany Brock is the CEO of Premier Surgery Center. Alex, Danny, and Tina work with her. And I know that Tiffany, I think, got books for all of her leadership staff. So thank you, Tiffany. So I don't know who wants to field this first one, but please tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, and the challenges that you were facing during the pandemic. Maybe that one's for Tiffany.
Okay, sure. So we are an outpatient surgery center. We deal with elective surgeries. So when the pandemic hit, we were forced to shut down for about 3 months. We were only doing maybe 5 cases a week if we were lucky. So a lot of our teammates were at home for that 3 months, getting 60% of their pay, which our company was able to do. But still, it's not enough for the bills that they're forced to still pay during those 3 months, and all the stress that came along with that, and childcare and homeschooling. And so it was very stressful for not only us, but for the teammates as well.
So maybe so you how did you get a hold of Rita? And then let's maybe hear from some of the team members, because I know you talked to every single person at that company about how Rita was able to help you kind of grab that culture back.
Absolutely. So after the teammates returned, it was we noticed how bad morale was. Everyone was worried about COVID getting exposed and bringing it back to their families. They were worried about homeschooling and who's going to teach my kids when I'm being forced to go back to work, but the schools aren't open and daycares are closed and there's nowhere to turn. And so they were being pulled in all different directions, balancing finances and family obligations and those kind of things. And on top of that, COVID policies were changing daily, so their heads were spinning, what is it today? Or what are we supposed to do today? If I'm exposed, what do I do? And am I bringing this back to my family? So it was very stressful. So we as a leadership team were trying to be proactive and communicate and just trying to make them feel a little bit better about the things at work that we could. But we just felt like we had hit a wall and we were going nowhere.
We were exhausted.
We were mentally, emotionally exhausted, and so were they. And at that point, I looked at the team and I'm like, we need help. We cannot do this by ourselves. And so we reached out. One of our CRNAs knew someone that was in the field of like helping turn cultures around. And we reached out to her, but she had moved, but she knew Rita. And so she gave us Rita's contact information, and it was the best connection networking of our life. It really changed us around.
Amazing.
I would love for whether Danny, Alex, or Tina to talk about that very first all-employee meeting that we had in the front of the building with everybody. Do you guys remember that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So tell people a little bit, because we didn't talk about that the first time,
right?
But I think it's important to understand that even though this takes time, the impact is instantaneous. Would you guys agree?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I think
so walk us through that first meeting a little bit.
What Rita wanted us to focus on and the teammates to focus on is gratitude, not just for the company, for Premier, but for each other. And I think they had forgotten about that. So I think that was very powerful for them to have gratitude towards each other. And then everything was tied back to our values. She actually wanted to know all of our values, and she had this big piece of paper with each value and what it meant to each teammate. And I thought that was very impactful as well.
And we told the history of the surgery center where we came from, where we had been, and where we wanted to go. And I was a newer teammate at that point, and I learned a lot, and we all learned a lot about each other. That the pandemic had, kind of separated all of us and put us in our own little silos, and how are we going to figure out, where we're going to go and how we're going to get through this. And that's kind of helped us all come together and, interact with each other and talk about, ideal state. What does that look like? And how are we going to get there? So it was great.
Didn't you discover something surprising during this process? Like you had made these assumptions about culture, and when you really went to the employees, what did you discover there?
To me, it was striking, and I think you guys might agree that you think employees are concerned about the really big things, and they were about hours and pay and taking care of their families. But when I asked them, because I interviewed every employee that was willing to talk to me, and I said, what's something that is important to you that we could do immediately that would have significant impact on helping us get back to that place that we used to be? What they said was they wanted their pitch-ins back. And pitch-ins are when every employee makes a dish or buys some food, and they set it all up in the break room, and they have lunch together, and everybody shares. And of course, with COVID, we weren't sharing food.
Right.
And so there was a significant health reason not to do it, but that's what they wanted. That little signal of belonging was so important to them. Do you guys remember those conversations?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes, because we were like, it's that simple.
Yeah, right.
It kind of did. It made you think, really? But then I read, and I remember telling you about this book, Tiffany, right as we were having those conversations. I found a book called The Power of Moments, which I just can't say enough good things about that book. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. And that's exactly what that book is about. It is about those little moments that just really capture people's hearts and minds.
And that's not surprising when you think about it. Like we all connect over a meal or a shared experience or something like that. So that's amazing. So it sounds like that this, and this is not the company that you track in this book, but we are so grateful to have them here to kind of talk about their experience.
Yeah, there are stories that are taken from Premier. Some of them are sort of mishmashes of, I kind of mishmash some different stories together because I didn't want to take space to tell story after story after story.
Right.
But I am sure that my Premier friends and associates will recognize some of their stories in the book.
Well, we're so grateful to have them here. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this wonderful day and book launch. They've appeared twice now, so that's a lot of time out of their busy schedule, and we really, really thank you. And we hope to see you soon. We will have another opportunity to chat with Rita on June 23rd at Bourbon's Bistro. She's going to be doing a book signing, and we'll continue the launch celebration. So we hope to see you there.
I've been sending you guys invitations. I hope you're getting them because I would love for any and everyone from the Premier Surgery Center, not just leadership, but please put the all call out. Post it in your break room because you are all welcome to come and join. Food's on me.
Yeah.
Pitching on Rita.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah, now the story that we track throughout the book. So one of the things that I wanted to do was feature a story. And I want to share this right now because this is an important thing as well. The company that I talk about, so there's 5 chapters in the book. And at the end of each chapter, I tell the story of this company. It was the very first company that hired me during the pandemic. And they're a construction company. Okay. So here you have a surgery center, professional nurses, doctors. These are, labor guys out, in the field day in, day out. It doesn't matter. People say to me all the time, what industry? Industry doesn't matter, folks. It doesn't matter. It works. It's more about your values, and it is more about your commitment to really doing the real work. So at the end of each chapter, it's easy to find because it's in italics. And it's the very, when you look at the table of contents, it's the very last line in each chapter. but I lay out a story that follows the flow of the book of exactly what we were facing in that particular company. And just to make it easy, I changed names and stuff to, to protect the anonymity, because it's important to me that there's confidentiality with my clients.
Of course. And we're talking about your work a lot of times with leadership, but you spoke to every single employee as much as that wanted to speak with you. So we've been talking we've got into this like from a management standpoint, but this book is not just for management.
No, it's not.
It can work for anyone that's looking to change the way that they are showing up at work. And talk about kind of the 3 tiers that you mentioned about how you think about approaching a company.
So in my work in organizational effectiveness, I'm always operating and paying attention to 3 things simultaneously. It's the individual employee or worker, no matter what level you're at. It's the team, the way you come together as a work unit to accomplish work. And then it's the organization as a whole. And so when I wrote the book, I was thinking about those 3 things all the time. So every employee, every person who works to earn a living, that gets a paycheck, if work drains you, if it's not energizing you, but it's depleting you, you want this roadmap. I'm going to tell you how to change that. If your team used to be a high performing team where you guys love spending time together and you were, so proud of your accomplishments, and you have derailed from that, this playbook will work to get your team back to where it needs to be. It might need a little extra help from me, but you can get a good start with the book. And if you are a manager or business owner, you care deeply about your employees, and you know that you are off the rails, and it's going to take some work, and you're willing to do the work to get back on track. This tells the story of how I did that with other businesses. And again, you can get started,
Plant the seeds,
but you're going to go faster if you invest a little extra money in letting me come in and walk alongside of you. But we're only talking about 90 days.
right?
I am all about the 90-day sprint. What can we accomplish in 90 days? And if we need more time, we'll take more time. But, we are driven by our experiences. So when we feel like we're churning as hard as we can and we're not seeing any payback, we get demotivated.
Yeah.
So we need to structure things for very quick hits and very quick motivation. So that's where the 90-day sprint really
sounds
works.
like change can even happen on that first day.
It does happen on that first day,
And
because I know my expertise in organizational design and organizational psychology gives me the insights to how you design conversations and engagement with your employees to get that.
And I can absolutely, from my own personal experience, having started working with Rita on this when she shared the book with me, and it's kind of somewhat early stages, I started thinking differently about the people that I was interacting with and saying, you know what, I do have the agency to change this. Now, I don't work with a lot of co-workers because I have a very small business, but I'm out there dealing with clients and vendors. And really almost instantly I was like, and we would have conversations about that too. And I was like, oh, I took this from the book and applied it here, and it made things so much better. So, even just picking up the book and having that one day or that first step can make a huge difference. So I'm here to give a testament to that too. Speaking of which, you did write this pretty quickly, and you did not do this alone. One of the things that's remarkable is how you leveraged your network. So I would like to bring on another guest, somebody that we're calling the beta readers. Is this Jill? We have Jill.
Hey, Jill.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks so much for joining us. I wanted to get in just a little bit about the process because Rita has, she kind of, from my perspective, kind of plowed through this. Like when she decided to write it, it was written, but didn't quite send it to the editor right away. And I know that she really relied on her close friends and network. So I just wanted to ask you, what did you think when Rita first approached you about being a test subject to read this book at first? What was your reaction?
I was all in from the beginning. My whole focus since founding Veracity has been always helping other small businesses get started and moving along. And so I just jumped at the opportunity to be a beta reader slash editor for her and give her feedback. She and I connected on LinkedIn and just kind of really clicked at that point. And
Amazing.
Yeah, we
is.
tried to do some, from the ground up research together, and nobody would play with us, would they, Jill?
I
It was
know. Shame on
horrible.
them. Yeah.
I know.
Well, fine. You got to collaborate anyway. What was your first impression of the book when you first read it?
Wow. I spent the majority of my career in corporate America, and oh my gosh, you would not believe the program of the day that seemed to come down from HR all the time. You nod your head, Rita. You've been there, done
Yes.
that, right?
I've had to create those programs. Forgive me. There might be a special place in hell for those of us that have participated in that.
But this wasn't like that. This was different. This was something where an individual could take responsibility for their own actions and contribute to the team with it. And that's kind of what really excited me about being a part of the beta reader / editing of this book, that she really hit the nail on the head.
Amazing. Was there a part when you first read it that most resonated with it? You're like, wow, that's profound. I'm going to take that with me today, or I'm going to share that with a coworker.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of it I wanted to share, but I kind of felt like, okay, I'm going to keep it under wraps because it's not published yet. So just keep my mouth zipped. But
I made you guys sign a confidentiality agreement.
For sure. But,
and being a former regulatory officer, I take that stuff, quite literally.
Absolutely.
I didn't want somebody to steal my book, but can I say that Jill sent me back her edits and recommendations. Mm-hmm. And when I was asking of my beta readers, because I knew I was going to pay an editor to get the English and stuff right, but it was more like, am I onto something? Is this interesting to read? Where is it authentic? Where do I need to add, subtract, those kinds of things? And Jill sent me very gracious edits and suggestions back, but she sent me a text and she said, this could go viral. And I was like, dang. Yes. It was such an affirmation, Jill. Such an amazing affirmation.
And how did that feedback affect the final product? Did you go through more changes internally before sending that to the editor? Were there things that maybe were off the mark that you learned from your beta readers?
I don't even remember specifically. What strikes you, Jill? Do you remember anything we were talking about?
Oh my gosh. It seems like it's been eons ago.
It was, because it was back in January. I mean, it was eons ago. I mean, I took the feedback from each of my readers, and one by one, I went through and incorporated their edits and their feedback, and again, just really helping me clarify where I needed to clarify. It was so valuable to me, because I one of the things we haven't talked about, but I wrote this book as if I were talking with you directly. Do you remember that, Jill?
Yes. It was very personal. Yeah.
Yeah, very personal, very conversational, and all of my readers responded to that the way I wanted it to. And I couldn't just have any editor that didn't know me. I needed people like Jill, where I would spend time with me, that knew I was being who they knew me to be. And
that goes back to that authenticity, because that's how you connect with your readers. And if it's anything like what we've experienced, every time we do a television interview or any kind of radio interview, people are very much connecting with the message of this book. You've graciously donated or given a book. I've heard back from those people that they want to share that with their other coworkers and even their management, because I think it is something that could go viral and hopefully will, because it has such a positive, a powerful message about your agency and what you can do to change something that may not be so pleasant right now.
And you guys are going to help me make it viral, right? You guys,
Absolutely.
from Jill's Lips to
And again, on sale now,
Yeah.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and locally here in Louisville at Carmichael's. Jill, thank you so much for talking with us.
Well, thank
I
you.
really appreciate your time today, not only today, but all the time that you put into helping
Yes.
Rita achieve this wonderful day.
Yes, thank you so much. And I don't know that I said this earlier, but make sure you read the acknowledgments at the back of the book, because all of my beta readers got a shout out in the acknowledgments at the end of the book for all the dedication they gave to this.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye. So I want to remind you again, if you're watching, we do want to get a hold of you because Rita wants to thank you for being a part of this very special day. She's got some little gifts. So please drop, if you have a question that you want to ask, we can we'll get to that at the end of the broadcast, but please just say hello or drop your email so that Rita can send you a thank you gift.
This nifty little bookmark. And the book is in two parts. I think we said this. The first part of the book is it's about half and half. So there's the split right there. It's about half and half. So the first part of the book I wrote to be an airplane read. Like you're on the hop to Florida or wherever wherever you're going. And if you read from start to finish, you can do it. But there's also these lovely too long didn't read sections at the end of every of every chapter. And I actually in the table of contents wanted the TLDR to have a pagination, and my editor's like, it's making your table of contents too long, just so you could get there quickly. But
I love how purposeful that is, because you're thinking about how people acquire and process information. People like me just kind of want to go from start to finish. Some people want to see what it's about first, and if that's of their, if they want to commit to reading more about that. So I love that was purposeful.
So you might not need the bookmark too much unless you're a busy single parent or busy parent, because I know when my kids were younger, I might get 15 minutes to read, and then it's hop up and do this thing or that thing or the other thing. And so the chapters are short, and there's lots of sections. I mean, I wrote it so that you could just, if all you had was 15, 20 minutes, you could ingest something and then you could come back. But the part 2 of the book, these are the show up positive sparks. And these are words that are your inspiration for how you take back control and you start being that coworker. And so you're going to want a bookmark, and I'm going to give you one for attending today so that you can mark your page in your book once you find your word. So my word that I just picked for the moment is cheer. I love the word cheer. And so I'm going to mark that, because I'm not just going to practice cheer today. If this is my word for at least a week. Might be a couple of weeks, because this isn't marching through all 50 words one day to the next day to the next day. We're not speed racing through this. We're not trying to do this as fast as possible. We're building new habits and behaviors, a new mindset. That's going to take a little more time. So you're going to think about the word cheer and really practice that intentionally for an entire week at least. And you're going to give yourself little goals, like I'm going to intentionally infuse cheer in my exchange with somebody at work 3 times today. You're going to pay attention and really work on those things deliberately. Right. So you use your little bookmarks so that it's easy to come back and get the reminders, because I'm going to remind you of ways to do that and questions that you can ask yourself to work on your mindset.
And speaking of the sparks, at our previous broadcast, we had a very exciting reveal, and we'd love to see that now. While you talk about, now that this book is launched, what is next? What is next for you?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So, I said individuals, which individuals can dig into the book, teams, and organizations. So I wanted something extra special for teams. Mm-hmm. And so cool. I designed, I got a whole box of them ready to go. I'm ready for you guys. Ready. These are my Show Up Positive card deck. So this is the most portable version. They're 24, have a feel, I just love their linen paper coated. So it's got this great texture to it, right?
Yeah.
And they're these delicious beachy colors, tropical colors. So I want you to put these out in your workplace to inspire you. And so I wanted them to be colors that you look at that you go, oh, yeah.
And these are not the same sparks.
Not the same sparks. There's 24 new ones right there. And so this deck says deck 1, teams and meetings. So there are more decks to come. The first deck, teams and meetings. So the idea is that your team uses this deck. And you could have a deck for every member, or you could have one deck that you share in your team because there's 24 cards, and people pick a card that they're going to work on for how they show up for the team. Or maybe the whole team shares a card for the week and everybody practices that card for the week. So at the back, once you get your card deck, there's a QR code. And so there are 10 ways to use these cards, practical ways to use these cards. And it's a private page on my website that you'll get access to with the QR code on the box. And then there's a training. So to get the card deck, you sign up for the training, and then you'll send me your details. I'll mail you the card deck. And then there will be a series of these times available. You pick a time that works for you. And the idea,
is that a one-on-one?
Well, the idea is, it'll be small group.
Okay.
And it'll be, somewhere around, 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the questions. But we'll walk through the cards. You can ask me any questions about the cards that you have. And then I'll take you through all the different ways, and we'll practice using them. And I just want to have personal touch. A lot of people said, oh, well, you should just turn that into passive income. Just tape a video and just give people a video. But this is my baby. So I want to talk to you guys. I want to engage with you. So the cards have two sides. And on one side, it's your mindset card. So it's questions that you ask yourself.
It says ask yourself.
To work on this particular behavior, which you have recognition in your hand right now. And then the other side are questions or statements that you use with other people. So when you're in your team.
So for recognition, the message is you add value. And then the things that you can say to people. And we kept talking of these are ways that you can make someone feel acknowledged, heard, seen. I think a lot of people are struggling with that right now. Is like, positive isn't necessarily the way that you show up positive can help someone else become positive.
Absolutely. And it's not just everything is fine and dandy.
Right.
It is about belonging. It is about personal connection. It is living your values every day. And when we show up for ourselves in that way, we will find our path to happiness again.
That's amazing. I can talk about, we mentioned this before, but what's next? The next part of this is now that we've celebrated this lovely book launch, we want to celebrate it more. We're going to have a book signing. Do you want to tell people about that?
Oh, please, if you are in the Louisville area this next Thursday, the 23rd, we are gathering at Bourbon's Bistro, which is an amazing venue on Frankfurt Avenue. We will be in the private room upstairs, and I'll be signing books. We're going to be doing networking. So I'm inviting all my friends and my business colleagues. So come ready to network. It's open house style between 5:30 and 8 p.m. I'm providing the food. We'll have a cash bar. There'll be a kiosk with Carmichael's books. You can get your book right on site that night if you need to purchase one. I'll be signing books to folks. But this book, I built this to be a repository that you go back to over and over and over again. So I'm a huge user of the Louisville Public Library. I used to buy books all the time, and my husband's like, that's what the public library is for. Support the public library.
Sure.
But this book I wrote for you to keep on, at your side, so you can access those positive sparks on a regular basis.
Amazing.
Go ahead.
What
else is next is so now that we're getting through this, I'm back on my speaking and teaching tour. So if you have a conference or getting your organization, your people together for your annual meeting, I'm available to do keynotes and workshops, and we can talk about the book. And I've got 4 topics that I'm happy to share with, and you can find that on my website, Ignite Extraordinary. under the Show Up Positive tab. So I will be available for those kinds of speaking and workshop and consulting. If you are ready to take your organization on that 90-day sprint to repair your culture and get back to your high performance state, I'm ready to be there at your side. Just reach out to me.
And you can also sign up to be on her email list where she sends even more extra and tidbits, but not spammy.
Once a week.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to hear from me is once a week, because I loathe spam and like hardcore sales, and I don't really want to be affiliated with that. So I will talk about ways that you can engage with me at times, but you're not going to get a bunch of sales messages.
Amazing. Do we have any questions from the audience that we'd like to have answered right now?
We can do one.
Okay. This is Courtney. I don't know if I mentioned her. She's our lovely producer today. Works with me at
Floating in
Think
the
Tank.
background.
Yes.
One thing is, what is one thing that you hope readers take away from the book? So almost like a TLDR of like this whole speech. What is that, like one little golden nugget that you think people should know?
Culture starts within you. When you start showing up in the workplace, being the person that you want to be, not the angry person, not the sad person, but the person that you long to be. When you start allowing that person to be present again, you will not only change your life, but you will change the lives of others around you. In the book, in the intro to part 2, for those of you not from Louisville, we have the United States' biggest fireworks show here in Louisville in celebration of Derby every year. And it is a big deal. It is a very big deal event. It is the most amazing fireworks you will ever see. But it, like all fireworks shows, it starts with just one firework, right? And then it's 1, 2, 3, right? And there's a slow buildup. And at the end, there's a pause. And then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And the whole bridge alights, like it looks like fire melting over the sides of the bridge and the sky. And it's 3 minutes of nonstop
Finale.
Fireworks in the finale. That is the movement you're going to create. You're going to be the one firework spark. But you know what? You're going to spark 2 other people, and there's going to be 2 other fireworks that join you. And by the time you're done, when your organization is all ignited, you're going to be that finale show. You're going to be back to that celebratory high performance place you've been missing.
The life.
Yes,
of what you
absolutely. There it is.
That's amazing. Well, that seems like a good note to cheers on.
Yes.
Since it is National Bourbon Day, I insisted that we have a little swallow. So today, what are we having?
We're having a little Woodford Reserve, which is my favorite sipping bourbon. My husband is a Brown-Forman employee. It's a local product, and it's my favorite. So
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Rita.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your journey. Thanks for sitting down and talking about this. There's much more to come. So be sure to continue to follow Rita on her social channels. Sign up for that email list at igniteextraordinary.com.
Unless you guys tell me sooner. So there'll be a poll coming up. But in August, we're going to start a little book club for people who are reading the book so we can all come together. Because I actually have, when I talked to Sharon, my publisher at Penn Legacy, about this book, I said, I think it's a 3-book series.
So more to come.
There's more in my head about what's to come. I've been talking to the amazing Nikki Lanier about doing a diversity and inclusion version of this book that we would co-author together. And she said she's in. She told me, so I'm holding you to that. She said she's in. I just got to get this first one done. But yeah, so definitely more to come. But first I need to hear you guys' feedback. I need to make sure that I'm resonating.
So we invite you to be a part of this journey and collaboration as better things are yet to come. So again, congratulations. Happy National Bourbon Day. We hope to see you on June 23rd at Bourbon's Bistro if you're here locally, or if you want to drive in or fly in. we're happy to have you.
Yeah, please
come
come.
celebrate with us as we continue this wonderful.
And order the book. And not just for you. Please put this on your gift list. That person that sits at your Thanksgiving table every year and all they do is moan about their workplace. Right there. Birthday, Christmas, Father's Day,
Father's Day's coming up
whatever.
this
Get it
Sunday.
in their hands.
And that is again available Amazon, Barnes & Noble, locally here at Carmichael's.
Thank
you
you,
guys
Randy.
so much. Thank you, Rita. Thank you guys for joining us. And
Thank
we will
you,
see
Courtney.
you soon.